Since the creation of Pokemon, we've all had the chance to grow attached to our favorite starter. One of those 3 fated Pokemon destined to join you on your journey, becoming something you hold as dear you would your own child. Each generation has given you this opportunity to form a bond like never before, taking your starter-led full team all the way to the end and seeing the adventure through together is something unforgettable. But what if we forgot about all of that? I've never been the type of person to try a Pokemon challenge. The only time I attempted a Nuzlocke, which for those who don't know is essentially Pokemon on hardcore danger mode, I got greedy and lost my strongest soldier to some random trainer and immediately gave up. I have rarely experimented with learning about IVs, EVs, competitive movesets, good held items. I'm not even 100% sure on what TM stands for. I've never been a Pokemon master, but I want to be. I just needed the right partner to start this journey with. And after the release of Scarlet and Violet, it became quickly apparent that the answer was right in front of me. No, not quite. Ceruledge. So on this adventure, I will be exploring, destroying, and conquering the entire region of Paldea with only one magnificent party member. I've got a few rules for this challenge, but the biggest one being I am not allowed at any point to use damaging moves in battle with any other Pokemon. The world of Pokemon is filled with dangerous creatures and powerful trainers around every corner, and if I have any chance of overcoming my past demons, I'm just gonna have to create my own. Before I can create a creature strong enough to solo continents, the first step is to make sure our trainer is the best partner possible. Ta-da! Honestly, I was intending to go back and create a different design, but I never did. So everybody, meet Elden Ring. Everything begins just like usual. Talk to my mom, talk to the school director, and I get to meet the only thing standing in my way, these 3 little babies. Picking a starter is required before you are able to leave the first area, and at least at the time I recorded this, there was no way to feasibly break out of here without my game getting sad. So after trying over and over to escape, I inevitably had to give up and depressingly choose from the bargain bin. I ended up choosing Fuecoco, and I fittingly named it Sorry. So I guess we technically already know the answer to this question, but also not really. There's a lot more to come, I promise. The next step was to battle Nemona, which I once again tried to get around, but turns out my ankles don't work. With our first battle comes our first real problem, as even though I'm sure Sorry wanted to get some good shots in, they are not allowed to deal damage. My solution around this was to just repeatedly spam Leer until the suffering was over. Yes, it is a move in battle, but it's not doing any damage now, is it? And if you're thinking, how on earth am I even gonna get to Ceruledge when I can't attack? Don't worry, I'll explain soon, because that was the last time we'll even be entering a fight without Ceruledge. Aside from these next 2 fights we have to do, but they're scripted so they basically don't count. With plenty of Leer spamming, I was able to confidently throw both encounters, and Nemona taught us how to catch a Pokemon, which was gonna be useful information, just not here. Sorry, Lechonk. Now with all the story exposition finished, we have about 4 minutes of being unsupervised before Nemona comes back to explain even more junk. Oh. So that's what TM stands for. Up until this point, we've played the game almost exactly like your average playthrough, or at least if your average player was 4 months old. But now here's where things are going to differ big. First off, the only way to get Ceruledge is by catching a Charcadet and evolving it through specific methods. We can find it fairly easily in a few different areas on the map, however, we can't reach those yet, as the game doesn't fully open up its world until we finish the first day at school here, in the main city, Misa Goza. We're supposed to go there so we can fight Nemona again, fight Team Star, take some classes, and officially receive our legendary Pokemon. I don't want to do that, so instead, we're just gonna skip it entirely. By traveling west of the school's entrance, we'll eventually make it to a suspicious little ledge. On the other side is a path to the rest of the almost unrestricted world. Now that's a pretty wide gap, and Pokemon doesn't have a jump button. but by using a very popular exploit that I'm just going to be calling School Skip because I don't know if it has an actual name, we can edge on the ledge, if you will, and initiate a battle. By doing so, the game thinks we're supposed to be over there too, and it places our player character on the other side of the gap. All we had to do now is spam run and hope it works, because this tiny pink deer could probably kill us if it really wanted to, and once we escape, we can continue our adventure. Also, I just realized I lied. I said we wouldn't be entering more fights, so that was the last one, I swear. Fortunately, there is a guaranteed Charcadet spawn not too far away from here, so now all we have to do is walk. The only downside to skipping the school is we don't have our legendary to ride on like a Fisher-Price toy car anymore. But after a 10-minute walk, we found our little friend hiding in a cave. Sorry, no. We found Charcadet, hooray. Wait, I think this counts as a fight. That was the last one, I swear. Quite possibly the most important part of our journey had arrived. We had to name our killing machine. I eventually decided on the only name that I felt truly fit. Meet Tarnished. Because my name is Elden Ring. I hope that makes sense. My Pokedex was already 2/3 of the way finished, and I had to officially move, sorry, into the box. Honestly, I was kind of sad. I should not have named him. In the end, all I can say is, I'm sorry. Well, actually, you're sorry, because that's your name. Adding Charcadet to our team is a big step forward, but there is still a glaring issue. That's still not Ceruledge. So, I'm gonna have to evolve them as fast as I can, which is a slightly complicated process.
I play Pokémon Soul Silver version.
To start, we're gonna need a special item that can evolve our little murder princess, and this item can only be found in the beautiful city of Pico. And lucky for us, the town is located on the complete opposite side of the map. So, let's get walking. A quick hop through mountains, plains, deserts, caves, with a little stop to change my outfit. How do I look? And just like that, it's almost like that didn't take me 45 minutes. Now in Pico, we can talk to the most crucial character of this challenge, this unnamed person. They hold the item known as Malicious Armor, and when this item is used on Charcadet, it evolves into Ceruledge. But not quite. It's not that simple yet. In exchange for the armor, they require us to trade 10 Sinisty chips. These are materials that can be dropped by Sinisty. Whoa, that's awesome. Oh my God. When you defeat them in battle. No, that sucks. No. But we can't defeat them in battle because we can't attack, because we don't have Ceruledge, and there's no way to acquire these otherwise, right? Yes. But actually no. Pokemon Violet has a complex feature known as auto-battling. It's actually pretty simple. You just press the R button and your Pokemon does everything for you. But by engaging in battle this way, we can circumvent the need to select any damaging move, and Charcadet can fight without breaking the rules. So, on a technicality, we can continue on. You just have to squint and look at the extremely fine print. However, our hardship doesn't stop there. Auto battles are only one round, meaning if your Pokemon isn't strong enough, it'll come running, pissing and shitting right back to you. We could go auto battle a bunch of weaker Pokemon, but that would be somehow even more boring than what I'm already doing, leaving us with our final salvation, performance enhancers. We're not just breaking rules anymore, we're breaking laws too. EXP candies can quickly raise the level of any Pokemon, and they're hidden in all sorts of places around the world. So I went to a few spots searching for just a crumb of whatever I could find, and I managed to score enough to get Tarnished to level 20. Now we could take down these pesky Sinisties. Pissing and shitting, or not. That's alright. We just need another 40-minute escapade traveling far and wide to so many places, all to reach level 31. Surely, that should be enough. I don't know why I went about accomplishing things this way. I should have done the Can You Beat Pokemon Violet Without Pressing the A Button challenge, which, by the way, you can't. Eventually I scrounged up enough candies to reach level 35, and I just hoped it would be enough. Thank fuck. 4 hours into this playthrough, and at long last, we got our first win. The only thing left to do was extinguish the local Sinisty population and collect as many chips that were necessary. Once that was over and done with, the malicious armor was ours. Thank you, unnamed person. I will truly never forget you. Now, we could use this armor on Tarnished and bear witness to our beautiful creation. Is losing my physical body a part of the ritual? finally, Tarnished was born. Listen, I owe you my life, but come on, read the room. With Ceruledge on our side, the shackles were broken, and the world was ours to conquer, especially considering I had already walked to just about every fast travel location, so we could effectively begin anywhere. I decided to tackle the Ice Gym in Glaciato, the strongest gym there was. I wanted a true test of our abilities, and where better to start than with Pokemon that were a dozen levels higher than me. Let's begin. It was a solid 10 seconds before I realized that this guy had nothing more to say, and I was still just staring at him. You may remember I mentioned the world was almost unrestricted. That's because we can go just about anywhere, but we can't actually do any of the battles to progress the story. It's like getting VIP access to Disneyland, but you're not allowed on any rides, and also Mickey Mouse hates you. Our past crimes have caught up to us, and it was time to right some wrongs. Starting with annihilating Nemona's level 9 rodent. Maybe this is a life lesson that no matter how much I put off my problems, I'm gonna have to confront them someday. Or maybe it's just fun to watch a god at work. I took down Team Star, got my Terra Orb, went to school, unlocked the Fisher-Price mobile, and started all of the necessary quests to complete the game. Technically, we only really have to do the gym battles. But I said we were gonna rule this world, didn't I? And so our conquest could begin. I was here longer than I'm comfortable talking about. The first gym proved to be a very dominant start for us because it turns out things are pretty easy when you're 20 levels higher. With the first badge gotten, I didn't waste any time heading out right away to get our second gym badge. And I know I was talking about creating demons, but I gotta be honest, I think these guys beat me to it. Speaking of demons, but with a little bit of deforestation, we've got the second gym badge. Things are pretty easy when you're 20 levels higher. I discovered my first Titan and thought I could get away with a sneak attack, and it worked so well, I ended up disappearing entirely. Elden Ring? You found it? With the help of Arven's level 16 Shelter, the Stony Cliff Titan was defeated. We can breeze through gym battles and Titans without much sweat at all, but taking down Team Star members was a bit more involved. We aren't even allowed access inside these bases unless we have 3 Pokemon in our party, and last I checked, we only had 1. Oh. When did that happen? Through a series of events that probably wasn't me hunting down Sinistes for an hour, we've got 2 temporary party members and can enter through the front door, no problem. Team Star fights are mostly just a bunch of fodder auto battles throwing themselves at you until you can challenge the leader. 4 minutes and 3 hit points down later, we've made it through. Ah, you've got a Charcadet too, huh? Well, I could always add another to my collection. I was off to Levincia to tackle my third gym when a familiar face appeared. Nemona wasn't going to let me start my next challenge until I got past her, and she was unbelievably eager to fight.
Think of this as a practice run for your next gym battle. Come at me with everything you've got! Don't pat yourself on the back just yet. My next Pokemon's gonna turn the tables! You're a piece of shit.
The third gym challenge is a Where's Waldo fest of exploiting trainers for content, but I spent years training for this moment, so I managed to make it through. I was ready to collect my next gym badge, but somehow I think the audience was more ready. The first 2 Pokemon that Iono threw out were like little pebbles to Tarnished, but I had no idea of the nightmare creature that was about to emerge. Bellybolt. Every regular Pokemon we've encountered at this point has gone down in a single blow, but Bellybolt had only taken half its health bar. And to make things worse, Tarnished was paralyzed. I don't need to be a Pokemon master to tell you that shit sucks. I exercised the demon on the next attack, but it had already hit me exactly where it hurt, and weakened me for our final combatant, a terrestrialized Miss Magius. One hit from this thing brought me lower than ever, and my own attack barely did half. I knew another Flame Charge would kill, but I was not fast enough to strike first, so I opted for Shadow Sneak, a weaker move, but one that had priority. We stood a real chance here, and I placed my hopes into this attack. You're a piece of shit. I spent a little while planning my attack when I realized the answer. I was gonna have to enter my villain arc. Donning the mask, maybe through shame, or maybe because it was the only way I could dampen the true darkness in my heart, I challenged the gym again. And on my second try, and on my third try, Tarnish was able to clean up, and the third gym badge was mine. I was a bit harsh to Iono, but at the end of the day, we both want the same thing. Before obliterating another gym, I was in the mood to explore and track down a Titan Pokemon, so I made my way up the mountain and stopped for some beautiful scenic shots. Good thing I bought this helmet. A giant bombardier was our next target, and after it flew into a rock for way too long, I thought I'd go for another sneak attack. And wouldn't you guess, another perfect execution. With the help of Arven's little rock mushroom, the stork was defeated, and there would finally be no more children. The world was saved. Our next locale was a little place called Watertown. I don't know if this is a specific feature around here, but I passed by like 6 yoked gym rats that could easily knock my teeth out. I was about to start running, and it looks like I'm not the only one. Long story short, this guy, his name is Kofu, forgot his wallet. I followed after him so I could return it, ended up in Watertown 2, and as it turns out, he's the next gym leader we're battling. So our gym challenge is to participate in a little bit of gambling. 90% of gambling addicts quit right before they're about to hit it big. Don't stop. Keep gambling. I lost it all. In the end though, Kofu was impressed and invited me back to his gym for a chance at the badge. I may have been scared of the muscle monsters around town, but what really had me shaking was the water. This was the water gym. Ceruledge is a fire Pokemon. They don't mix. That said, everything was going surprisingly well, with 2 back-to-back one-hit KOs. The real danger came in the form of Crab, who hit me with an immediate one-hit KO of its own. It felt like I got pretty close, but at the same time, I knew there was no chance I was getting over the wall of Crabominable without a couple thousand more candies. Or, for the first time in a while, a little strategy. Our first step was to go and grab the TM for Sunny Day. This would make my fire attack stronger, but more specifically, Ceruledge can learn Solar Blade, a move that usually takes 2 turns to power up, but with Sunny Day active, it will only take 1 turn. I also grabbed a Focus Band just for fun. With a few fail-safes in place, I returned to the battle and activated Sunny Day. It failed because there was already a sandstorm going on. This brought up a whole mess more of issues. And can you guess what happened? I tried again, expecting now that I was going to have to slam my head against a wall and completely work around the sandstorm. But to my luck, the sandstorm was gone. The winds had quieted, the sand was calm, and the day was sunny. It wasn't long before I got to rematch Crabominable and utilize Solar Blade. In the end, not only was I faster, but I was stronger too, netting us the 4th gym badge. As long as I was here in the desert, I figured I'd go to a different desert on the other side of the world. The only reason I came all the way over here is because of this big worm guy, and to see the funniest cutscene in the entire game. We brawled with him and played fetch for a while until he erupted into his final form. Arven showed up to help out, but I knew I was going to be the only one who could handle this. So, I did what needed to be done. It's okay, an off-screen death is never real. I read One Piece. Worm friend was freed of this mortal coil, sandwiches were eaten, and there was no time to rest because I'm outside your house. I mean the next Team Starbase. Everything was proceeding as expected, with Tarnished and the gang wiping out fields of stunkies until the boss showed up and hit me with his car. The damage he did wasn't all that impressive, but apparently there's a 10% chance of Wicked Torque putting the target to sleep. So 3 turns of snoozing, and 1 very hopeful terrestrialization later, I was run over. Technically, like and subscribe are Ceruledge based Pokemon, so if they beat him, it wouldn't have been cheating, but it didn't feel right, so I let my whole party get flattened. I came back again, this time going all out from the start, and without any EPs to worry about, we won very handily. I made my way back to the desert we so quickly departed from earlier. There's another Titan Pokemon here that I was a bit worried about fighting, and for good reason. I bumped into him while he was rolling around, and on the first attempt, I put on a good show, but I still got wiped out. After a couple more tries, I was able to weaken him enough to reach the second phase, but even with the help of Arven, who must have been a little pissed about last time because he brought a higher level Pokemon than even mine, we still fell short, over and over and over. I took on a few side battles so Tarnish could get in some training, but I knew what I really had to do. It was bath time, baby. Hey, even gods could use a little tub time now and again, don't you think? I don't know if it was our now squeaky cleanliness, but for some reason, he just wasn't using the move that previously game-ended all my attempts, and instead was using a much less effective one. So that's nice. If there's any lesson to take away here, kids, please please put on some deodorant. I found a tiny version of the big one we just destroyed, and let's hope they aren't related. Otherwise, I think I'm its mom now. I journeyed to the location of our next gym, Medali, until Nimona stopped us.
I saw you going into the gym and came running. Wait, don't get me wrong. I didn't chase you down just to battle you. I want to kill you.
Something tells me I'm gonna have to say yes either way. Nimona went to get her team ready and promised we'd battle soon, so in the meantime, I decided all this running around has worked up a mighty appetite. Found my way to a restaurant where Tarnished and I could grab a quick bite to eat. Who knew that human souls were its favorite food? As it just so happens, our next opponent, Gym Leader Larry, was eating here as well, and with the floor cleared out, it was the perfect spot for a match. Who knew Larry also loved human souls? Only a few moments into the battle, and I was already faced with my natural opponent, the Sleepies, which led to an immediate wash. Speaking of wash, I don't know, it helped last time. I rematched Larry, and although I was able to take out his first Pokemon, it still put me to sleep, and it seemed like I was watching a rerun. But then, after only a single turn of snoozing, Tarnished shook itself awake so I wouldn't worry. I didn't even know it could do that. I was genuinely so inspired by what Tarnished did for me, I wanted to prove how much I believed in them as well. Well, that's alright. We'll get him next time, champ. Maybe if we... I rearranged a few things, slapped on some new moves, and entered the battle once more. This time, I had Protect, which I used to cancel out the first yawn and set up Sunny Day, but then it just used yawn again, so wow, big shocker. Fortunately, with a little shaking, we were right back in business. I didn't know this at the time, but I'm pretty sure these bath breaks I was doing for the joke were actually having an impact on my battles. I was able to get my attack supercharged and decimate Larry's first two Pokemon surprisingly easily, but he was just getting serious. Tarnished had the upper hand in speed, but his final Pokemon Staraptor had equal strength, and because we were already injured, it looked like we were destined for yet another loss. Hey, you should not get hit. Somehow Tarnished avoided the move in time via my shout? What the hell? What kind of soap are you using? Barely hanging in there, Staraptor was defeated, Larry's soul was ours, and we had scored the 5th gym badge. I was gonna have to ease up on tub time, otherwise I'll be selling Ceruledge's magical bath water before you know it. Nimona was waiting outside for us and didn't waste a second before forcing me into a match. I honestly would have lost this one if it weren't for Ceruledge being able to just outright denounce the option of losing. Before I could thank Nimona for a good match, she was already gone. They always say the monsters in front of you aren't as scary as the ones you can't see. It wasn't long before we started knocking out our objectives left and right. The next team Starbase had an 8-year-old with a Shroodle guarding the door, so that was over pretty quick. Then I made my way to the Monte Nevera gym, which has a special gimmick because all of the battles are double battles, meaning Subscribe was going to be serving as a body shield. I was worried these battles would be tough because this was essentially a 2v1, but honestly, it was kind of a sweep. The 6th gym badge was ours, and after a bit more traveling, we got to suffer through the Alfornada Gym Challenge. I tried my best. This was yet another sweep, especially because we had finally gotten to learn a move made just for Ceruledge's arsenal, Bitter Blade. Not only was it extremely powerful, but it also gave us a straight up heal when used efficiently. Needless to say, this new addition, plus Gym Leader Tulip's severe weakness to Ghost Pokemon, rightfully earned us the 7th gym badge. This left only one final gym left to challenge. In fact, it was the very first one we even went for. It felt momentous to be returning here, especially now because they would actually talk to me. But as excited as I was, that feeling quickly turned hollow. It was supposed to be a heavy trial to overcome, but now it was a slaughter. I wish I could give you some fanfare and talk about the struggles it took to get this last gym badge, but this was an ice gym, and I had arguably the best fire move I could get. If you've ever played Cardjitsu, you know who's coming out on top. After only a few minutes of battling, it was over. The 8th gym badge was officially mine. You know, they say it's lonely at the top. I should be overjoyed, and yet here I was, suffering from success. Before I even had a chance to breathe and wallow in my own self-pity, I was already setting out to claim more territory. The next team Starbase leader was Ortega, and little did I know, you're a piece of shit. They were gonna give me a lot more trouble than I realized. After a couple attempts that led to nowhere, I determined my current moveset wasn't cutting it, so I tracked down a few loose materials necessary to craft the TM for Poison Jab. I have no idea if this was my best option available, but it was definitely one of them. I also got the item Life Orb, which would boost my damage at the cost of injuring myself. Surely this will not come back to bite me. All in all, this ended up proving to be a pretty good idea. I previously hadn't been able to take out even one Pokemon, so taking out 3 was what I consider gold star worthy. Unfortunately, I got killed by the battle bus. I opted instead to throw on Rest and Sleep Talk. I thought this was genius. It wasn't. Typically the most crucial moment to heal was against my little friend, Hot Dog Bun. And the problem is, Sleep Talk randomly picks a move. So it could pick Rest, which does absolutely nothing, Poison Jab, which would do decent damage, or Bitter Blade, which I didn't realize at the time, but would do no damage and help my opponent because of its well-baked body ability that makes fire moves useless. 3 out of my 4 options did nothing, but thank goodness for option 5, giving up. Strategy wasn't working, and I was making everything more complicated, so I decided to go all in on complete and utter power. They can hit me hard, just as long as I hit him harder, right? In the past 61 attempts, Ortega has always thrown out Hot Dog Bun after Azumarill, every time, giving me no chance to set up any buffs because both of them deal so much damage. But this time, Wigglytuff came out second, allowing me just enough time to build up some extra power and seal the deal. And if I could take down the dreaded Hot Dog Bun, then I can definitely take down Ortega's Starmobile, leading to their defeat and me finally getting to leave this stupid area. This left only 2 objectives, 1 more Team Starbase and 1 more Titan Pokemon. Aerie gave me a bit of trouble because her team was designed to beat ass any time of the day, but with a bit of defensive strategy, we cleaned up in no time. Finding and taking down the False Dragon Titan wasn't much hassle at all either. And yes, I did make sure to show Arvin that he wasn't needed in this fight. Twice. And with that, every badge was officially acquired and our campaign neared completion. All we needed now was to claim the title of champion by beating the toughest opponents in the entire region, the Elite Four. Or at least, that's what I thought. Before I could step foot through the doors of the Pokemon League, there was one person that stood resolutely in my way, and it isn't who I expected. After the journey I went on and the journey that Arvin happened to be there for, he had established a full team of Pokemon, some of which I was not very kind to. I would quickly come to regret my past atrocities. Bullying is wrong, I get it now. Even after shoveling down as many candies and multivitamins I could get my hands on, I couldn't break through the impenetrable iron wall that was Big Squirrel. They'd open with Earthquake every time and it would do so much damage I'd basically be cooked from the start. But I had a solution. If I'm not on the Earth, how am I gonna get quaked? So I bought and attached the air balloon, allowing Tarnish to avoid the attack entirely so I could have some extra time to... God damn it. This might still be good because I don't think Earthquake kills. Not only was Tarnish barely able to stay in the fight, but we had gotten 2 Swords Dances set up, so our attack power was intense. It didn't matter that they read me, because in some strange twist of fate, that little air balloon changed the entire course of this battle in the absolute weirdest way possible. None of Arvin's Pokemon were able to withstand even a single hit anymore. With Bitter Blade after Bitter Blade, victory was ours, and the Path of Legends was completed. It felt so good to get this done, so I went ahead and completed Starfall Street too. I do not want to talk about what I had to do to finish this one. Now, there was genuinely nothing standing in our way from fighting the Elite Four and finishing the 3rd and final goal, Victory Road. Everything I've done has been building to this moment. It was time to see if all my hardships were enough preparation. I don't know if I'll come out on top, but I was more than willing to give it my all. And passing the written portion was simple, but then it was immediately time to fight the first member, Rika. I didn't realize this before going in, but not 1, not 2, but 3 of her Pokemon had Earthquake. I don't think even my legendary air balloon could have saved me, so I managed to craft and add the move Reflect to my arsenal, which would hopefully keep me from getting my back blown out and allow me extra time to boost our power. A few attempts and a few heartbreaking close calls later, I was able to crack through Rika's barriers. Thank you, funny number, I could not have done it without you. Next up was Poppy, who almost closed the curtains immediately with an extremely strong opener. But thanks to her entire team consisting of Steel types and Bitterblade existing, this fight was over surprisingly fast. And then Soul Eater Larry had arrived for a rematch. I mentally prepared as much as I could. Our previous battle forced my hand to deploy bath time methods, so I had to be careful here. On the very first turn, Larry throws out Tropius and uses Sunny Day. All Tropius could do was throw pebbles at us frantically. Meanwhile, our assault was just about to begin. Can you guess how many bitters were bladed here? Our last opponent of the Elite Four was a dragon tamer. In addition to dragons only being weak to themselves, they also happen to be resistant to fire. Fortunately, Tarnished doesn't care about stuff like that. Even if it wasn't very effective, we could spam our way to victory. Though after one-shotting roughly 15 Pokemon in a row, we did lose the combo, but we didn't lose our kill streak. That would happen a few turns later. But after a second attempt with a few more close calls and even greater power, the battle was over. With the Elite Four defeated, we still hadn't truly won quite yet. It was time to face our final test and take down the champion, Geeta. Geeta starts with an immediate Lumina Crash to break my defense and a Reflect to boost their own. I took some time to strategize and no, are you kidding? This was easier to handle than my fight with the 4-year-old. I was finally granted the title of Champion Elden Ring. The efforts of both Tarnished and I had paid off after all this time, and the world of Paldea had been conquered once and for all. There wasn't even a moment to celebrate before Nemona had showed up.
I'm gonna hit you.
Seeing that we had both become champions and I had yet to file the restraining order, she yearned for yet another battle. Geeta asked that our massacre be moved off the property of the Pokemon League, so we decided on our new location, back to the place I tried to never set foot into. Usagoza. I approached Nemona and watched her phase into existence through presumably some kind of hell portal. This duel had been set in motion since the very beginning. Nemona had always been there. Always. I mean, seriously, it was a little much. And yet, I couldn't see any better way to finish our story. The courage, the self-doubt, the resolution I was looking for. It culminated into this true final battle with all that stalking proved to be extremely useful because she had multiple avenues to counter me with. She even forced my little Scrimblow to learn Earthquake. I desperately needed various moves to deal with her team, but thanks to the game limiting Ceruledge's true power, I could only carry 4, which meant tons of trying and failing with Swords Dance, Rest, Shadow Sneak, Close Combat, goddamn Flare Blitz. Why in God's green Earthquake did I try that? And just when I managed to make it past her underworld guard dog, I was betrayed by my own strength.
I think Life Orb might just kill you.
I think I have enough.
Unlucky.
I thought that was so fucked up. That is so fucked up. True. Battle after battle, Nemona reigned supreme. But steadily, each attempt, I would be able to make it a little farther, take out one more of her team members, and do my best to hit them harder, biding my time to seize an advantage. I knew that eventually, in the most crucial moment, something would crack. All the pieces fell into place with a blend of luck, skill, determination, and maybe even a few tears. One by one, Champion Nemona's team would fall at the hands of Tarnished. You weren't even fast enough to use Earthquake! It inevitably came down to Ceruledge versus one of the starters I abandoned. Nemona's final gambit was a hefty Thunder Punch that left us paralyzed. If we could fight through the pain with one final ultimate Bitterblade, we could declare ourselves the true champions. We can be Pokemon Masters. The crowd looked on captivated, but before Nimona could take a knife to my throat, she offered me her hand as thanks for a battle between equals.
You're a piece of shit, but you're my piece of shit.
At the end of our beautiful adventure, Victory Road was completed. Turns out all you need to be a Pokemon Master is one of the most broken moves in the game, a bit of tubbin, and a lot of performance enhancers. I still found myself standing at the top, but
Hi, how are you?
I really wasn't alone after all. Big thank you to Sintoki, Lyra Hubble, Wayward Rosalind, and all my other patrons, subscribers, and YouTube supporters. This video was possible because of you. Thank you.
Subscribe to Shyntos.